What if your boss pocketed your entire annual salary before you even finished your morning coffee, then announced your job might vanish next month? That's not a hypothetical. It's the daily math inside America's most famous car factories, where executives now rake in hundreds of times more than the people who bend steel and bolt batteries. 15 years ago, those same factories pleaded for a lifeline, warning that Detroit would implode without taxpayer rescue. Auto workers froze wages, surrendered pensions, and even gave up the right to strike so General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler could survive the Great Recession. Washington delivered an $80 billion bailout, and workers kept the machines humming. Today, the books glisten with profit, more than $250 billion in North America alone since 2013, up 92% over the previous decade. Yet the people who saved the industry are being thanked with pink slips. Start with General Motors. CEO Mary Barra took home $29.5 million last year, equal to 310 times the median employee's pay and roughly 16 years of wages for a new line hire. At the same moment, GM filed notices to idle its Fairfax, Kansas plant, phasing out 1,695 jobs while it retools for a new Chevy Bolt EV. A $390 million publicized investment means the facility will sit silent until late 2025, leaving families to ride out an indefinite layoff on partial unemployment. Across the state line in Michigan, Stellantis just cut 1,100 positions at its Warren truck assembly plant after ending production of the Ram 1500 Classic. The company warned as many as 2,450 jobs could disappear when the final shift winds down this fall. Stellantis blames declining sales and tariff pressure, but shareholders still approved a $2.26 billion dividend weeks after the layoffs were announced. Ford, meanwhile, quietly eliminated 350 connected vehicle software roles in May, about 5% of that unit's workforce. CEO Jim Farley earned nearly $25 million last year, 281 times the median employee, then warned publicly that artificial intelligence could erase half of all white-collar jobs nationwide. For factory towns already watching headcount shrink, the message lands like another round of budget cuts. Executives insist these moves are the unavoidable price of electrification and trade turmoil. New 25% auto tariffs pushed by the Trump administration have indeed rippled through supply chains. Stellantis temporarily furloughed 900 U.S. workers within days of the policy's debut and predicts up to $2.7 billion in related losses this year.
But in the same breath, the company admits its North American margin fell only 1 percentage point after last year's historic strike settlement. Workers question why they alone carry the risk. The United Auto Workers Union says Stellantis is already stalling on its pledge to reopen the idled Belvidere, Illinois plant and move mid-size truck production there. The UAW filed federal labor practice charges and warns it may strike again if the company reneges. Similar grievances accuse Stellantis of shifting Durango SUV output out of Detroit despite explicit contract language. Even when jobs stay put, the shop floor is squeezing harder. U.S. manufacturing productivity now tops $300,000 of output per worker, double the rate of the late 1990s, thanks to relentless automation and lean scheduling. Management once claimed this efficiency would secure employment. Instead, more than 267 U.S. auto plants have closed since 1979, including 6 major facilities in Michigan alone. Executives frequently cite a looming 30% workforce reduction as electric powertrains replace gas engines, a figure first floated by former Ford CEO Jim Hackett in 2017. Yet a University of Michigan study tracking real plants that flipped to EVs found headcounts actually rose, sometimes tenfold during ramp-up, and remained triple original staffing even after a decade of steady production. In other words, downsizing isn't technological destiny, it's a boardroom decision. Still, headlines focus on layoffs while CEO compensation breaks gravity. Average S&P 500 chiefs now earn 285 times their workers, but Detroit's leaders soar past 360. Barra's latest package climbed 6% even though GM's net profit fell 41% last year. Carlos Tavares secured $24 million after Stellantis profits plunged 70% and he unveiled sweeping cost cuts. Such disparity fuels anger not just at corporations, but at institutions meant to protect workers. Federal investigators uncovered a decade-long embezzlement ring inside the UAW itself. 2 past presidents admitted siphoning union dues for luxury villas, cigars, and golf junkets. A court-appointed monitor still oversees the union's books today. For rank-and-file members, betrayal feels double-edged, abused by employers and shortchanged by former leaders. Meanwhile, entire communities absorb the shock. Study after study shows plant closures cripple local economies, driving unemployment above 11% and hollowing tax bases. Flint, once home to 80,000 GM workers, now counts fewer than 8,000 after decades of shutdowns.
Across the Midwest, shuttered stamping presses sit rusting beside empty diners and foreclosed houses, a silent ledger of broken promises. Yet the story is not purely bleak. Federal climate policy channels billions toward retooling factories and battery hubs with strings that favor union labor and domestic content. New hires assembling Ultium packs or solid-state cells are asking why their starting wage trails the CEO's lunchtime payout by 16 years. They are also asking why the same executives who celebrated record $14.9 billion pre-tax earnings at GM last year can't commit to job security through the transition. So the question hanging over Detroit is no longer whether electrification will happen, it's who benefits from it. Will auto towns finally harvest the prosperity they were promised in 2008? Or will billion-dollar dividends and stock buybacks continue to outrun paychecks? The answer depends on how the next round of negotiations and public scrutiny reshapes the balance of power on the factory floor. Stick with us as we unpack those negotiations, follow the money from the boardroom to Capitol Hill, and track how every new tariff or tech breakthrough lands in the lives of real workers. Because the next time a CEO claims the future demands sacrifice, you'll have the facts to decide whose sacrifice they mean.